desire to serve is in their core. Yet when they come home, their potential remains untapped. We're building a movement of veterans and volunteers to transform neighborhoods. We go beyond community service. We're a catalytic force driving lasting impact across the country. We are the Mission Continues. To serve alongside us or donate, visit missioncontinues.org.
And Fox Sports is proud to partner with the Mission Continues, a nonprofit organization deploying military veterans and community leaders to build stronger communities across the nation by improving schools, revitalizing parks, and fostering neighborhood identity. Visit www.missioncontinues.org to learn more. All right, let's get back to more sports. Most notably, Green Bay Packers hosting the Carolina Panthers. We'll jump ahead to the third quarter. Aaron Jones in for the 13-yard touchdown, his third score of the day. Packers take the 21-10 lead. Jump ahead to the fourth. Snow's coming down. It's getting real at Lambeau. Panthers hanging around thanks in part to that guy, Kyle Allen. Put him in a position to tie the game, down 8. Christian McCaffrey, another great game from him, but he's stuffed at the goal line as the clock hits 0. Packers hold on to get the 24-16 win. They improve to 8-2. Here's Aaron Rodgers after the game.
Winter is here in Green Bay, and we're starting to make this place a tough place to come in again. It's a good football team. I'm proud of our guys. You know, we left some plays out there, especially into the first half, but our defense came up big with some stops. You know, Kyle played really well. They got a good team. Maybe see him down the line.
And, of course, that biggest stop at the very end when they really needed to stop McCaffrey. But, Nick, how badly did Green Bay need this win?
It's an enormous win for Green Bay. The difference between going into the bye 7-3, coming off back-to-back losses where you're a favorite, and going into the bye 8-2, where you can look at the Charger game just as an outlier. And, by the way, as an added bonus, they come off the field and they're like, wait, what happened? You're saying New Orleans lost earlier, and so all of a sudden all of their goals are still in play, particularly considering they get San Francisco, one of the teams, the only team they're looking up at in the standings right after the bye. It's a great win for the Packers, most notably because of what Aaron Rodgers just said. He's a very famous Game of Thrones fan, made a Game of Thrones cameo, so he kind of changed winter is coming to winter is here. But that's important. And playing home games in the playoffs at Lambeau is something Aaron Rodgers, last half-decade, not a lot of experience with. Their last bye was in 2014. Since then, they have played one home playoff game. That was the game after Odell and his friends' boat trip against the Giants in 2016. That's it. So Aaron Rodgers knows it's just not only that the last 2 years they missed the playoffs, but even when they were making the playoffs, they were not positioning themselves to where teams have to come in and play in one of the most impossible places to win a playoff game historically in the NFL, which is Lambeau Field. And Coach, this Packer team for the first time in a long time also seems built to where they could win one of those cold, snowy, ugly playoff games. Yeah, Rodgers is sensational because he's almost always sensational, but Aaron Jones was really good. The defense was creating turnovers on Kyle Allen. That looked like a playoff game in a playoff environment, and the Packers came through huge.
Yeah, I'm sure they're happy to play in the cold weather. We saw what they did in the warm weather, and that wasn't very good. and this game was really important because of how bad last game was and how collectively they failed to perform in a big moment, in a moment where they could have put some distance between them and some of the people that are chasing them. And that, to me, was unfortunate, and I liked what they did yesterday. But there's still some issues. Defensively, they do a great job rushing the passes. They've got the Smith brothers. They're able to rush off the edge, and they're constantly putting quarterbacks under pressure, and they've got the ability to create turnovers. They're very opportunistic defense. I just don't think they've really solved the running game problem. And that, to me, is going to be the Achilles heel as they move forward. The teams that have consistently run the ball against them
oh, the run game defense problem.
Defensively, yeah, defensively the run game. Teams that have consistently run the ball against them have had a lot of success, and it's like we talked about earlier. It keeps Aaron Rodgers off the field. It slows down the pass rush. It changes the dynamic of their defense as a whole, and that to me is the concern whether it's at Lambeau or anywhere else, is how well they've addressed that.
Well, and they'll, I assume, spend a lot of the bye week trying to address that, because after the bye, if they're going to get the 1 seed, they have to beat San Francisco, and San Francisco has been the best running team in the NFC this year by a wide margin, and they're just getting healthier on that front, getting their fullback back, their tackles back who have been out with injury. So if you're a team that struggles against the run, San Francisco is a team that absolutely thus far this season has made you pay for that.
And you said a little earlier, we were discussing, you were surprised that Carolina didn't run the ball more, given that you know what the Packers offer up in their run defense.
Yeah, and when you have a guy like Christian McCaffrey, I know his average is around 20 carries per game, but this is one of those games where you bump it up a little bit. Maybe you go 25, maybe you go 30, just because you realize that's the weakness of the defense, and he's your most explosive player by far.
And especially in that weather and the conditions, too. But so if you've been following the show, we have a little back and forth here. I'm more pro Kyle Allen. You're more, I don't know if he's the future for Carolina, Kyle Allen. I thought he played a great game yesterday. I thought he kept the Panthers in it. Terrible conditions on a day when you're playing against the Green Bay Packers, who were at home and were coming off that loss. I thought there was every reason for him to struggle, and he really didn't. Do you feel differently about Kyle Allen after what you saw yesterday?
No, and to me, your evaluation proves my point, which is he did play a great game by his standards. Turned the ball over twice, and his team scored 16 points. Like that, but now, by the way, this is also why the quarterback wins thing is unfair, because this was he played a better game than he played in some of their wins. He played a better game than he did in their win against the Houston Texans when they won 16-10. Team still scored 16 points. One was a win, one was a loss, and he was very poised on that final drive. I didn't think he played a very good game at all until that final drive, and on that final drive, that was a great drive, and you come 1 yard short of potentially tying the game with a 2-point conversion. But no, like, to me, it's very obvious what Kyle Allen is. He is right now, and this is better than I expected, a very good backup quarterback that if he's your starting quarterback, you better have the most dominant running back in football, which they do. Right, and a great defense, which at times they do. In order to just lose close games to really good teams. Because I mean, that is who he is. And by the way, as an undrafted kid who went to 2 colleges and got cut by 2 NFL teams, he is overachieving. And I think that's what you love about him, is that he's overachieving. But it's the NFL. And, like, you don't get extra credit for overachieving. You get credit for achieving at a standard. And I think right now, if Kyle Allen's your quarterback, you got about the 25th best quarterback in the NFL.
Well, he's in about as difficult a situation as you can be in as a young quarterback. You've got to move the ball down that last drive. You're fighting the weather. You're fighting an outstanding pass rush. You're fighting the fact that everybody knows you got to throw the ball, and he was able to do that. He was able to do that with a lot of poise. So to me, that's a really encouraging part of what we've seen here, because some guys are going to fold in those moments, and we've seen plenty of those drives, especially against Green Bay, where they go back to pass, and it's just over before the drive can even get going.
But one of the reasons they were down 14 points, and they scored a touchdown. People criticize them because they went for 2 after they scored the first touchdown. Analytically, that is absolutely the sound move. The only way it hurts you is if you fail twice. But one of the reasons they were in that position was because of the turnovers by Kyle Allen and because the offense was stuck in the mud, despite Christian McCaffrey having another 140-yard from scrimmage game. And so I don't want to be too hard on him, but he's now a starting quarterback in the NFL, and the team's going to move on from Cam Newton. He no longer gets judged on this sliding backup quarterback scale. He gets judged on the scale of, can he get you to where you need to get to? And I believe the answer with Carolina is no.
Could he be their starting quarterback next year?
Well, to me, it's going to be how much he continues to progress. And I thought that last drive was a very encouraging part. If you're looking at it organizationally, he shows poise in a big moment against in a really tough situation.
All right, we're going to break there. Coming up, are the Dallas Cowboys going to miss